your headphones on so you can hear yourself. You gonna be okay? The hotel's gonna file a formal complaint against us and never allow us back because I changed the schedule on the HVAC system.
It works. We're going to a different one next year anyway. So
yeah, it'll be fine. They can hate me all they want.
He's supposed to build the relationship with the hotel. Like you guys abandoned Embassy, but only because they screwed up that one year.
Yeah.
They really screwed you guys over that one year, and you guys ran out of room.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like this is a neat venue. I like the venue.
Yeah, venue's not bad.
yeah.
I think it's a little like because it's so like there's classrooms all over the place.
Yeah.
Up here on this floor, over here on this.
It was awkward yesterday.
Yeah.
Coming in, we got here and everybody was headed to 3 different areas,
Yeah, for sure.
3 different buildings. But
It is what it is, I guess. I'm talking about the situation of like not being known by your clients or like disconnecting. It caused some strife in my marriage early on because I'm the outgoing guy and like I enjoy those communications and like I didn't have a problem with it. So everywhere we went, it would, okay, we got to stop and talk to somebody for an hour. We got to stop and talk to somebody for 30 minutes. And it became so much that like a trip to Walmart was 2.5, 3 hours because we stopped and talked to 5 people. And
Yeah.
so, David hates people altogether.
I've had to get used to just telling people, like, sorry, can't talk to you right now and move on because my wife doesn't want to go shopping with
Yeah.
me if she's going to spend 3 hours in the store getting nothing done.
That, here's the thing though, is David is right when he says it's about how you like carry yourself. I can make it to where my clients understand now's the time to talk and now is not a time to talk in the way I carry myself. Right?
Makes sense.
You just
Nod
nod and
and-
keep moving.
Because
You're like, hey, how you doing? Just keep moving. Don't stop. And don't ask any questions. Don't do that. Because then they just, hey, so anyway, my car was making this noise. Let me ask you about this Honda CRV I'm looking at. And here's the other thing. Walmart Plus is the best thing ever. I never go to Walmart because they deliver to me. It's $99 a year, and they will come and deliver like groceries to my house for free. I paid the $99. You got to pay a tip. But
Sure.
other than that, like it's worth it to me to pay the $10 tip to not have to walk through the grocery store. And I have milk at my house all the time.
We have
It just shows up. It's great. I just click a couple buttons. And
we
it
have
shows
a
up.
very, very eccentric client that delivers for Walmart. And we have maintained this vehicle. It has been totaled. And it's a piece of equipment that has sentimental value for her. And a couple times we've said, hey, probably past its useful life, right? Like, and then we just spent like $18,000 on it.
Oh, geez.
And so,
Okay, well, that's not that eccentric, especially if they have $18,000 to drop on a vehicle. You know what? I can put up with some crazy. For $18,000, I can put up with a lot of crazy.
so kind of along that line.
This is way up top. Sorry, I
Well,
didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. Kind of along that line, there's one of the workers at our local grocery store. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Next grocery store is probably 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
So it's the one I always go to. She brought a vehicle in. It was her dad's vehicle. Her dad died or was shot, or I'm not sure the whole story.
Yeah.
So it has sentimental value. We're supposed to be working on it. She's like, money's not an object. Money's not an object. She said it multiple times. I think we hit her with like a $400 bill.
Mhm.
Held the check because it was getting towards the end of the year. We were trying to finagle our income for taxes.
Yeah.
Last time I'll do that. And go to cash it beginning of the year, bounces. And I
$400?
$400.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the best. I love those.
And it's got to the point where I will almost walk out of the store if I see her in the store working, because she will spend 30 minutes giving me a sob story why she cannot pay me right now.
Yeah.
And I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's $400.
Yeah.
Just don't bring. I'm not going to work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
But-
sure. There's very, very few businesses that will still take a check. I'll take them. Like we have some fleets, and I don't do a lot of fleet work, but there's some fleets that are really good organizations, and I know the people that work
bigger
there,
companies.
and try and help them. And so they'll write us a check. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't know many shops that still take checks at all.
Yeah, I kind of got that feeling. I know we still do a fair amount of checks.
Mm-hmm.
Dialing back on that, especially if it's a first time customer or somebody I don't
for
know.
sure, for sure.
So there are services that will verify checks. So they'll do an EFT with the check, and they won't, like, it's not a check that has to be cashed or whatever. They'll immediately
just take
verify
it
funds. So you run it through the machine, it'll verify funds, and then they'll EFT it into your account, and you just pay like a small fee, and you don't have to mess with the whole. Will this check clear or what?
And it's probably me on my end. I just need to get with the times. Back before I really was as concerned about my numbers, I was looking at the 3% credit card fees, and I'd done a 3% cash discount, and I had checks on there. And so a lot of our customers still want to get that.
Yeah.
And even though I no longer care about the credit card fees, because honestly, you're stepping over dollars to pick up dimes with that. I haven't quite gone away from it yet, but I just should do that.
How
All
big?
right. Introduce them. What are you doing?
Introduce yourself.
I am Josiah Martin. I have a shop in Oley, Pennsylvania.
Oley?
Oley, Oley.
Oh, Oley.
It's
Okay.
Berks County Dutch.
All right.
Me and my friend bought it in 2020, and we've been in business now for 4 years. We have
Friend, like, you guys are like business partners?
business partners. Yeah, we
I'm
have
sorry.
I know. Honestly, if I do it over, I would not do a partnership. I would probably do something where one of us is the owner, the other is a bottom line rider, meaning like we're bought in on the bottom line, but we're not like actually the owner.
Silent partner.
Correct, like a silent partner. We've gone back and amended our partnership to make sure that if anything does happen, there's safeguards in there.
Yeah.
And a processor.
Correct. A process of selling out, how we can force each other out if one of us goes
loses
rogue.
their mind. Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, it's been great. I've had great experiences with it. It's just the risk is there.
Yeah.
Who manages the business?
I do most of it. So my partner's here. I said, hey, you want to jump in? I'm sure they'd allow two guys on. He's like, he's a little less. He's a little more shy, I should say.
Yeah.
And he's like, I probably sit there quiet anyway, and you do all the talking. So
Is he a tech or?
he does mostly tech work.
Yeah. Okay.
So where did the idea of starting the business come from? What was the?
So the drive was, I was at a point where I needed to make more money, and I was working for a business that didn't give me a great path forward, didn't give me really good development.
Were you a tech? Were you an
I was
advisor?
a service advisor at that time. So I
Okay.
started out as a tech. They moved me into an advisor position, and I was young and dumb and green, and I thought I knew everything about the business because I did all the book work and everything. But, it's a whole different story. Thankfully, I started listening to your podcast, watching different videos, and realizing, hey, I don't know a lot of stuff. And working with Rick White now, where definitely business is a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
A lot more profitable than what it was.
So, I think the what you experienced, and you're right, what you don't know, the only way to grow through that, the only way to find that is to be exposed to that information, exposed to those things, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of techs, and they get frustrated with us because we're saying, don't go start a shop, don't go start a shop. Don't go. Why? Why don't go start a shop? It's not to keep them from starting shops, because that's...
It is for me. And don't do it. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Yes and no, but they're what I mean by that is that the reason they think that is very different than the reason that you actually say that.
Why would they think that I'm...
They think that you don't want them to start shops because you're trying to keep your competition low and you're trying to keep guys from going out on
They're
their
not
own.
opening up shops across the street from me.
Well, right. And there's no logic behind what they're saying.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And so
If you're saying that, you're stupid.
I remember...
Send a message to Lucas. He wants to know about it.
I remember a time when and you may remember this, David, I was looking at this building, right? And I was determined.
I told him to get it. I told you to get the building. I'm like, yeah, you'll figure out the septic issue eventually. You had no septic tank.
Yeah.
Right. It was on somebody
You don't
else's
have a bathroom.
property.
You have no bathroom. You have an outhouse.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You could do
Well.
a pumping tank. That's what previous business did.
Well, the problem with where this was at is there was nowhere to pump it to, because that, like in North Carolina, you have to have 100% repair area. So that means that you can put a septic system in, but to get the septic system approved, you have to have a space that can't be used for anything else that has 100% capacity to completely rebuild that system on. And there was nothing there. There was nowhere to put it. And so, like, if you don't
I
have
didn't
city
quite
water and
realize
septic,
the amount of regulatory oppression that you have to deal with where you are, because after seeing what you had to deal with just getting your building up and going, yeah, this whole situation would have been like, yeah, just dump it out back. Because that's what I would have told you to do. It's like, just fling it down the mountain. It'll be fine. Like, where's
Turd flingers.
like, just whap. Hey, when you're done, throw the bucket over the side of the mountain. It'll be fine.
Well, so, the thing is that you get into those situations and those guys don't understand why you're saying, right? And so everybody was telling me, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And I got like really upset about it. I was really frustrated. And now looking back, had I done that, it would have been a terrible mistake, right? But they let emotion drive that. So they think because you're going against something they want, that you're saying that to not attack them, but to stop them from doing what they want to do, right? They find a reason that it's not valid to listen to you.
From my angle, like, it's kind of a pet idea. It's something that I'm excited about. And so I was looking at a second location a while ago. Yeah. And I think I was on ASOG or one of those groups, and they just took me to task and like, you're not even ready to go and start a second location. At first, I was upset. I was like, what do you mean I'm not ready to?
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously I'm not. And but at the time it's like, yeah, this is my idea. I obviously I can make it make sense in my head.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I didn't know that what they were saying is like your processes already aren't great at your first shop. You don't have the numbers there. You're having issues there. You're only going to create more issues by going to a second shop, which is exactly what I would have done. And it wasn't the right fit. It was only a 2-bay shop. 2 bays, there's not a lot of
room. Yeah, you're not going to be able to get some numbers out of there.
In your head, why would you have started a second shop? What was the logic?
In my head, where we're at right now, we were maxed out. And in my head, it's like, oh, we can have a second location. It's 5 miles up the road. I can run cars up there. We can take some of the workload off.
Yeah, let me tell you, that doesn't work.
And yeah, it would have.
He's got a great studio right down the street from his shop.
I got a second office, storage facility.
And so in my head, when I was looking at it, I wasn't thinking about, now I just doubled the amount of phone systems, all the behind the scenes. How am I going to do shop management systems? How am I going to run it as the same business? Am I going to run it as a separate business? It really should be a separate business, but how do I differentiate? Do I have a different business name? If it's the same business name, we're too close together. Where are we going to, if they call the one shop and it shows up at the other, how are we going to figure that out? And there were so many holes in the idea.
Now you say you were at capacity. I hear that a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I hear it a lot. Oh yeah, I couldn't get another bit of workout. And I don't need to advertise, and I this and I that. And then you dig into the numbers and you find out at capacity for a lot of people is they don't know their capacity and they feel like they're really busy.
Yes.
Were you using numbers to determine I'm at capacity, or were you using field to determine you were at capacity?
I was too cheap. Okay. So Everybody wants to bring their car to the shop that, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm the best shop out there, but I'm a fairly decent shop. We do great work. We stand behind our work. And I was too cheap. So, of course, everybody wants to get in the door and get their car fixed here.
Yeah.
So people were waiting 6 weeks to get their car fixed. And we were not focusing on getting the car fixed right. So we were having more cars that were coming back 4 times when we should have taken care of that the first visit. So now you're creating more visits. You're creating more car count.
And that time is literally just evaporating away.
Oh, absolutely. Because every time you rack a car, every time you're cleaning up the bay, like there's so many inefficiencies in car count. It was hard for me to see that I was had too many cars, had too much car count.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most effective thing I've done is just limit my car count, which is counterintuitive, but it has helped so much in reducing stress, I was close to losing one tech due to burnout because we'd have this high car count and the work would be there. We could sell it. And I was just push. But he was spending half his time racking and unracking cars because I'm trying to get him to get 6 cars done in a day. Yeah. Or 8 cars done in a day.
Yeah.
And that's another big like industry misnomer, right? Because and I want to say that I remember a post or a comment that you made, and I saw a bunch of responses saying something to the effect like, hey, you don't need more cars. Like the more cars is, and if you're out 6 weeks, there's a problem, right?
Oh yeah.
And so most of the industry guys, like if they don't know the data and they don't know the numbers, they balk at those comments, right? And so in the groups, you'll see somebody say, hey man, if you're out more than a week, if you're out more than 2 weeks, they get really upset when you say, hey, you need to raise your rates. Why? I'm busy. It's good to be busy. I'm going to tell you, I've got a shop fairly local to me. And me and you talked about this a while back, that their rate is basically half of my rate, and they're not marking up parts. And I know somebody that works for him, and he said, we are just absolutely busy. He said, we're out like over a month. And we were talking, and he said, but you know what's weird is he said, I know your numbers. And he said, even though we're out over a month, each month we're producing less revenue than you are. We're less than half of the revenue you produced. But he said, we're booked out, because I was saying like, hey, I've only got about 3 to 4 days worth of work to go. Now my guys are super efficient and they do a really good job. Our service advisors are on point. They've got it together. It just works. But like the concept that just because they're charging less, they're doing way more work and I'm making more money than they are with half the work that they're doing, you know?
Absolutely.
I think they're moving donuts. I just want to point that out.
You want a donut?
No.
You want me to get you a donut?
I like looking at them and smelling them. I don't need them.
Sherry's gonna.
I feel sick. I feel so sick after I eat them.
Sherry's gonna be like, next year at Vision, she's gonna have it cordoned off to where no David's past this. David's over there poking the donuts, smelling the donuts, putting them back.
Just so everybody knows, at Vision, I went through and I picked up every single donut and I took a big old deep sniff and I put it right back. I didn't eat it, but
just
I did
licked
touch.
a couple of them.
I didn't lick them, but I did like a little rub on the face, right in the beard, just. And then right back onto the board.
So if you had salt and pepper hair in your donuts, you know
that's why there was hair on mine.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed your donuts at Vision.
She's gonna kill us.
Listen to this. Get out of here.
She's gonna kill us.
But getting back to that, being really busy but not being profitable, I didn't know my numbers enough. Actually, I would say I started looking at my numbers, but I was too embarrassed because they were so far off of
what everybody
people
was
were saying they should be. And I'm like, I don't want to even know how I can get there. I don't even know how I can get to it. Just seemed like it was.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
When somebody actually breaks down the numbers, you start to write them out and you're like, I should be doing what?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should be doing whatever, $35,000 to $40,000 per tech a month.
At first, it's pretty easy to be like, well, that guy's just crazy. He's just after the money. He just wants the vote.
Oh, they're ripping somebody off. Ripping somebody off.
And then just looking at hearing shops say, oh, well, we take our whole team to vision, ASTE, whatever, all the,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
Another thing that really made me stop and look was we were looking to hire an advisor on, and he was a great fit. And I wanted to hire him, and he was like, hey, I probably will need health insurance because I currently carry the health insurance. My wife's job, she doesn't have health insurance. And we priced it out, and I mean, it's 60, 70 grand a year.
And you're
health
like, oh
insurance
my
for
God,
our team.
where am I going to get this money?
Exactly. Like, how can I get 60, 70
Why
grand
is
a
it
year?
that much? Is it that much?
That's for a team. I'm saying for everybody.
Even then.
David goes budget on health insurance.
Okay.
Like you go to the provider they recommend, and it's a motel
you do
room.
high deductible. Do the high deductible. Like you
Yeah,
do $5,000 deductible.
I'm not a great family to price health insurance for. My son had a liver transplant.
Oh
so
my goodness!
That I know those were in those numbers. So I'm sure that drove it up.
But you can buy it for an individual. So like I asked my team, you guys want health insurance? And I'm like, I bought them all life insurance. They got mad at me. They're like, why are you buying this life insurance? I'm like, they're like, Juan's got kids. And I'm like, if you die, your kids are going to be okay. Like they'll have their college paid for and then some. They'll have money for a house. Like if you die all of a sudden. And he's like, but I don't, like, why? Because it's like $13 a month and everybody in here is covered.
You're almost crazy not having term life on you.
Yeah. For yourself.
For yourself.
Like it's I told them, I'm like, here's part of your raise. I'm buying life insurance. They're like, oh, we want the money. What are you going to do with it? You're going to buy life insurance because that's what you should be doing with the money. Or I could just pay for it pre-tax dollars.
Yeah. You're probably going to go buy another Big Mac and not actually go buy
that's right.
health insurance.
Yeah, that's right, Juan. You're going to go buy some Quick. He doesn't get Big Macs. He buys the gas station pizza and a bottle of Quick.
Even like we set up a simple IRA for our employees.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And my whole thinking behind that is if the more I can get you to contribute to your retirement before you get your paycheck, the better, because you're going to get that money and you're not going to invest it. Most people, even I'm going to do the same thing. Like I set everything up like that on automatic payments. So I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's important. Too many times in this industry, there's people that have no thinking for their exit strategy, their exit plan, and they're stuck working till they're 70 because they never save for, or 80 because they never save for retirement. They don't have an option to retire, and I don't know.
I don't like the whole concept of retirement. I think it's stupid, but but you don't not having to do specific jobs or having to make a certain amount of money. Like I've got my house paid for, and I can go feed the ducks for a living. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and I say retirement. I'm thinking more like I don't want to have to be a greeter at Walmart when I'm 80 because I didn't
unless
have
you want
any,
to. That's
unless
what I'm saying.
if I want to, sure,
yeah.
go for it. But there's somebody I know, or actually one of our clients, that is still working because she has to. She's can't get around while you can tell it pains her, but she doesn't have the funds to not work.
Yeah.
And the problem though, like, what are you going to do? Let's say you had all the money in the world, you're going to stop working, then you're going to die.
Yeah.
Especially if you can't move. Like, having to get up and go to work, otherwise you don't eat. I'm sorry, is keeping you alive.
It is, but not having any flexibility is a whole different story, right? Not having the ability to, I need to take a day off. Hey, I'd like to go on vacation. Hey, I'd like to, you know what I mean? Well, zero flexibility is no
I think
good.
it's different too if you've got a larger extended family. And like,
I was actually going to say that for my parents. My one brother lives in Nevada, one lives in New York. I had a sister and brother-in-law in Haiti for quite a few years on a missions trip. If they didn't have any savings, like my dad's still working, but what about the time when he gets older in age and he's not able to have the higher paying job? He's, if he didn't have anything set aside, but he wants to go travel, but he can't afford it. How horrible is that not to be able to go visit your grandchildren because you didn't plan?
In the recording that we did live from Caldwell, Jim Kokonis brought up the old Zig Ziglar thing where he's talking about all these people they're going to Someday I'll, and it's like, Someday I'll doesn't exist. And so I think a lot of business owners, a lot of technicians, a lot of service advisors is someday I'll do this. Someday I'll have enough money. And if I just keep working hard enough for long enough, the shop will be profitable. And so I'm what is it that Dutch says? I'm paying for the blessings tomorrow with today's sacrifices. Well, the problem is that if the business isn't designed to be profitable, you never get there. Yeah. You can work forever doing that and never have any money.
And the other thing for me is I don't work to work. I don't live to work. I have a wife, I have children. I want to spend time outside of my job with them. But if I'm not profitable, I can't take time off. I can't go on vacation. I can't.
Even beyond needing the money to go do those things, it is really tough emotionally and from that mental standpoint to be able to go and actually be there with them. Even if you go on a vacation, even if you're just at home, you're just not there. And Rick is right, because one of the things that we talked about early on when I first started coaching with him years ago is that, you get into this cycle, and the cycle is that I'm stressed out at work. Things are going really wrong at work. So now you come home and you're not present at home. And so you get like mad and you're short with your family. And so then the next day you're thinking about how you weren't present at home and you said some things and you did some things you wish you hadn't done. And so now you're not at work either. Right.
Amen.
Yeah. And so you get caught in this like whiplash back and forth. And I was bad for that. Especially when I first started the shop and realized that there were problems, because like I had in my head, like, I'm going to fix these problems. I'm going to do this. We're going to get through this. We're going to make the shop great. But I became so hyper focused on one aspect of life that I like forwent taking care of the other things I was supposed to take care of.
I can pull up pictures from years ago. My kids were little. We're like out doing some. And I can look at a picture and know exactly what I was worrying about.
Yeah, dude.
In that picture, I can look at it and go, I had this going on at the shop, and that's all that was eating me up at that particular moment. And then like months later, we're somewhere else, and I'm like, I remember what I was thinking about in that particular picture.
I've got pictures from when we took Jimmy to the zoo when she was little. She was like 5 or 6 years old. It was like a school trip. And I remember the fight we had, because I was on my phone trying to handle something from the shop, and it really upset Alex. Yeah. And I remember the fight, and I'm like, God dang, man, I'll never get that time back. You know what I mean? Like, she's grown up now. Yeah. I'll never have that opportunity to go back and see the thing and listen to her squeal and be excited about that.
Yeah.
You only get one shot at those.
And I agree, because like I have a bunch of small children. My children are all under the age of 5, so they're young yet. And I think it was sometime last year, I was outside. I was pushing them on the swings, but I was constantly on my phone. I was doing something with work. And it was a beautiful evening. It was the perfect time to just enjoy being a dad, being with your family. And it hit me all of a sudden, like, I will have this business if I want until the day I die. Yeah. But my kids are only young for this real little bit of time, this real small amount of time. I can only enjoy so many summer evenings. I can only enjoy
That's easy to say to yourself, but when you're in the moment and you're in the grind, or you got some situation at the shop, like, that's all you can think about. That's all you're like, I just want this. And you can be like, I just want this to go away because I don't want to be thinking about this. I want to be here. I want to be enjoying my family. But you can't. It's really, really hard.
It's so funny you say that, because one of the things, I really wanted like Alex and the kids to somewhat be involved with the shop in one way or another. Yeah. Right. Like, I'm working on building this legacy for them and creating opportunity for them with the shop. And I've talked to Alex a number of times about it. And she said, I don't think you understand. And I said, okay, help me understand. She said, you're a different person when it comes to that shop. You take it so seriously, and you want your clients to have such a good experience that especially those who are closest to you, you will be mean to, you will rage out at them, you will fuss at them, you will treat them differently.
As employees too.
I do. I'm sure I do. Because you're so worried about the image of the business. And she's like, I'm not going to subject our children to that. Right. Yeah. And that's something that I have to deal with because those are choices I've already made and I can't take them back.
Yeah.
But like it does hurt a little bit thinking about that I hurt them and she doesn't even want them to like come to the shop to see dad at work.
Yeah.
Because she's worried about the impact that it might have on them. And at the end of the day, like, are those things important to me? Yeah. Like the client experience is important to me and the way we treat people, but not at the sake of my children and my wife and fussing at them because
Does she, like, you got to tell her that.
Well, I know
my daughter comes in and
act that
cleans
way.
the bathrooms. Like she cleans the bathrooms. She sets up the break area.
With the brown
She
recluses?
cleans- With the brown recluses. Yeah. I told her, I'm like, just squash them. That's fine. And she cleans the bathroom, like she organizes stuff and she takes out the trash and she comes in and she works. And trust me, she gets favoritism over all the employees. No, I don't care about nepotism at my shop. She gets all the raises and she gets all the benefits. You guys can screw off because
you know what's
you guys
funny
are employees. That's my daughter.
is I think the employees prefer her as a boss over you.
I'm sure they would. She'd be too nice to them. She needs a little
sweetheart.
ruthlessness. I don't know. She needs a little bit of her mom.
She's very sweet.
Cutthroat. Just
She's very, very sweet.
On the point of, it's been hard to think of that in the moment when you're dealing with the last fire at your shop.
yeah.
I think it's really important to know your why. Like, so having those moments, having those times where you're like, man, I'm missing out, and bookmarking that, for lack of a better term, for later when you're catching yourself doing it again and being like, no, this is why I chose not to deal with this after hours. When you're feeling pressured to do something if you set up boundaries for your work life, I guess is where it comes to. If you set up, I'm going to work on work at work.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you've got good perspective on it. I can tell you that I did not for almost 10 years. And I'm just, my give an F like went way down. And it was more that I started putting in very specific systems in place. Like this system will handle that. This system will handle that. This system will handle that. Everything else I can slough off of my employees. And then when I do need to step in, it's for very defined things that I need to even bother doing. And that has allowed me to completely detach myself. I still care about what goes on in the shop. I want things to go right. It's very important to me that we have a good client experience. It's important that we do good quality work. It's very important, more important to me that I have happy employees, that they've got a good work environment, that they enjoy coming to work, right? It's not a slog for them. They're not miserable. I had an employee that was just miserable being there. I ended up having to let him go. And it was long overdue, but you could, his sourness, his sour attitude, it wasn't that it was spreading, it was making things miserable for everybody else.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was saying.
And it's not that they all of a sudden, but you're like, who wants to come into work and deal with a sourpuss?
Absolutely.
And so I was like, hey, time to go. That has like been very, very good about just the overall ambience of the shop. And not that we don't joke around. Like we say every single day, I hate it here. I hate it. Every single day. But facetiously.
I think back and I was having a conversation in one of the group chats for the group this morning and talking about the fact that, you know,
while we were podcasting, by the way, it was the middle of podcast. He's like, hold on, I got to write this 45-page dissertation on
yet.
chat. Lies.
You know, and that conversation was, they were talking about advertising. They were talking about this, that, or the other. And one of the points that I tried to make to them is like, from your perspective, where you sit right now, the technical aspect of the job is the most important part of the job. Fixing the car right, fixing the things nobody else can fix. The reality is the consumer doesn't know. Now, I'm not saying don't provide excellent quality. I'm not saying don't fix their car right the first time. But I am saying that we focus so heavily on that one aspect where we are strong, right? In other words, like as a technician, you might be really strong. So you start a business and the key focus for you is fixing the car right the first time. And you put a ton of effort into it and you put hours and hours and hours and you don't bill properly. And you think you're winning because you're fixing the car right the first time. And really fixing the car in some way is a small percentage of what we do, right? And it's a small percentage of what the client gets for what we do, right? The write-up on paper, the documentation, the client experience, all of those things have nothing to do with fixing the car, but that's what the client sees and that's what the client perceives value in.
Sure.
And so we get really caught up with, I got to fix the car. I got to be the best service advisor and I got to communicate at this really high level. And we can become hyper-focused to the point we don't think about anything else and we don't see the business from any other perspective.
And it's easy when you're that focused to say, hey, I'm going to throw in this air filter that they're not willing to pay for. It's just an air filter. But you multiply that out where I'm just going to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
The customer doesn't know that you did it or
And
doesn't
they don't
care.
even care.
They don't care that you did it. Correct.
Right.
And it doesn't get you any value. It's one thing if, say, you did that for a client who's struggling financially and you showed it to them, you have it on the invoice, you deduct it off, and you build a better client experience with it or get a loyal client.
Yeah.
That's different. But if you're just doing it just to do it because you want it right, all of a sudden now, I guess the hard thing was I had to get to a point where I'm not doing any work the customer's not paying me for, and that sounds really selfish, and it kind of is. But it's also like it doesn't. The customer.
It's not selfish. It's not selfish, right?
It's super selfish. What are you talking about? To this day, I still try to give everything away for free. My employees stop me. They're like, hey,
I do too.
You can't. You gotta make the customer pay for that. I'm like, nah, be fine. It'll be like, I think it's so mad at me.
It sounds selfish and it can feel selfish. I don't think it is selfish.
It's not. It's not selfish. It's like,
I think it was something that was said on here. The one of the podcasts was just explaining that
I probably said it was smart.
If we believe we're giving good customer service to our clients, if we believe we are doing right by our clients, and then it is our duty to stay in business. It is our duty to be profitable, because if we fold up, who's coming in to fix those cars?
Exactly.
Is it going to be the chain store that rips everybody off? Is it going to be the client, the person that's not doing it right, using bad parts?
Yeah.
So,
and that's where that discussion this morning started. Is because they were talking about chain stores and they were talking about all these other shops, and they advertise, and anybody that advertises is bad, is basically what they were insinuating in this comment thread. And so I hear that from a lot of people. I hear that from a lot of shop owners, is that I've never advertised and I'm busy. Usually you find that they're not, they're too cheap and they're not anywhere near their actual potential efficiency wise. And so they're really busy.
Or they're on the side of a super busy road with a giant sign next to the Walmart. And everybody that goes to Walmart drives by their super busy shop. It's like, you don't have to advertise. Great.
For us, where we're at, we're a mom and pop shop, and there isn't a lot of mom and pop shops around. In fact, quite a few have closed in our area of service. So I believe we will probably be busy for the foreseeable future until more competition, more supply comes into the area. But that doesn't mean that, like, I will still want to build up my SEO, my marketing.
For sure.
Maybe I don't spend tons of money in Google AdWords until
you need the work, right?
But it'd be stupid of me not to start building the foundation for when that time inevitably comes in the future, where, hey, now maybe I'm expanding, maybe I expand the business, maybe I expand into a different field, maybe who knows? We don't know where the future's going. The market's constantly changing.
Yeah.
And not to advertise at all is... You're setting yourself up for failure.
Well, they were establishing it as, well, the people that advertise do bad work, and they were talking about a chain store, and I said, but hey, here's the thing about the chain store: they service 50 times the number of clients that you service, and you're telling me about these experiences, and they say every job that comes from them is bad. Now, giant generalizations and broad brushes are one of my absolute, abilities, right? I can typically do that extremely well. But my point in saying it is that those shops and those people saying that probably only see maybe 0.25% of the problems that come from those shops. And they say, I saw 5 cars from them last year that had problems. Man, you're seeing 5 cars from a shop that does 50 cars a day, right? and you've seen 5 cars in a year. You don't have the full perspective. You don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. And like the thing they need to do is focus on their businesses and growing their businesses and making their businesses do what they're supposed to do. But I think that's something in shop owners, it becomes very competitive. I've talked to my Napa rep and he says, we are in the most competitive area in auto repair I've ever seen. He said, I've been all over the country to these auto repair, shops and worked with Napa and done all this stuff. He's like, I'm telling you, they're more competitive here than they are anywhere else because it's all about winning. Auto repair is not about winning. It's about being profitable, fixing cars 40 hours a week, right? We can't lose sight of that.
I don't know.
How can you justify being open 7 to 7 then?
I'm not justifying being open 7 to 7.
I'm just saying there's a lot of people that don't take that approach.
Right. And it works for them.
Well, we're going to 4 days a week, and like everybody's coming to us like, why would you do that instead of being open 5 days a week? And it comes down to, I'm not in this just to fix every single car out there.
Yeah.
Sure, if I wanted to, I could be open 6 10-hour days or 6 12-hour days and run 2 shifts of people, but that's not, I don't want to do that. But I do want to do what I'm doing profitably because why else be in business? Why else? I don't want to own a job. Like, I don't want this stress and have nothing to show for it.
No joke. And that is exactly right. I don't want to own a damn job. I don't like this is too stressful as an owner anyway. And even when things are going really well, and even when you're profitable, this shit's stressful. And so I dang well better have some sort of security and some opportunity moving forward. I'm not going to do that. Now starting out, I had that mentality is that one day if I just fix enough cars, the bank account never grew. Right. I just had this in my head that if I fixed enough cars and got a good enough reputation and I fixed things nobody else could fix, one day I'll just make it. No, you actually have to be profitable. And you actually have to work to be profitable because it doesn't happen by mistake.
Yes.
And you have to understand the numbers to be profitable or you will spend all of your money. And I understand the numbers and I still spend all of my money. But we did have a really nice, you bought dinner. Never mind. I spent all your money.
For the dinner. Dirtbag.
It was good, though.
It was good. It was surprisingly cheap. We've spent way more than that.
Yeah, we shouldn't talk about that.
They're business dinners. Every single one. We discuss business things the entire time. Nothing personal.
Then it's a
all
write-off.
business.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, imagine that.
To write something off would indicate that you pay your taxes.
No, I write it off and therefore don't owe any taxes, dear.
I'm just saying,
can't pay taxes on zero. That's all I'm saying. Can't pay taxes on zero.
But you have to file that you owe zero.
I do have to file. I haven't filed yet. I will.
For which year are we talking?
So
20. My bookkeeper's finishing up 2023. The minute 2023 is done, I file an extension. The minute 2023 sounds going to my CPA. And hey, I don't want to pay anything.
What about 2019 and 2020?
2019 is done. 2020 is done.
So you'd be in favor of, I grew up old order Mennonite. There's some groups that they have no social security numbers. They have no birth certificates. They don't exist,
David
according to the law.
Love that.
And they don't pay any taxes, pretty much any taxes whatsoever. They have to pay property taxes. But other than that, I don't think they pay any
It's
taxes.
local. Property taxes are local. Yeah.
But federal income tax, none whatsoever.
They technically don't make any money, though, do they? Like, they live off the land and that's it?
Well, they do make money. I mean, they're buying farms. They're buying $1 million farms, so they're making money somewhere.
How are they getting around? How does that work?
I don't understand it 100%. I think it's
I'll
such
be
a
Mennonite
minutia.
tomorrow. Hey, I'm Mennonite. Don't tax me.
I
Don't
think
tax me, bro.
Well, half of our listener database still thinks you're Amish. So
I would not be on here if I were Amish. Clicking away at my computer, like, yeah, I'm Amish. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
And I think it's so small that the government just kind of turns a blind eye because the government doesn't even want to, like IRS doesn't want to be the bad guy going after some.
Have you met the people at the IRS?
True. Fair enough.
Do they care? They don't care.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
Teddy
I don't know.
Biden needs that cash. He's
I probably just
I need
alerted
these
it.
people paying their fair share.
I watch, man. You can watch it some with the Cherokees and the reservation. Man, they will bait them so hard, and they like it, not necessarily the Cherokees, but I've watched them do some things like they legalized pot in the Cherokee reservation in North Carolina, and you just know that the executives of the reservation are sitting back just tapping their fingers saying, come at me, bro. Like, just come get me. Like, swear to God, try it. See what happens. And so that's the thing is they've got such a reputation for you come at them, they pull every legal trick in the book and make you look like a fool by the time it's said and done because they've got some rights and they've got some opportunities and they've got some things that protect them on reservations. And so some
And
taxation, stuff like that.
Correct. Even like, so you go to Mennonites and Amish and they have some grandfathered in exceptions from way back when because the people making the laws they said, hey, we have to do something because the general public wouldn't have been okay with them discriminating, quote unquote, against these groups. So there's a lot of grandfathered in exceptions as well.
Yeah.
So I need to find these exceptions and convert.
It is extremely interesting.
I don't need electricity. It's fine.
It's extremely interesting to watch them navigate it. And it is kind of, I mean, that they stand back and say, if you want to come at us and if you want to change this, go ahead. But we will make a media nightmare for you to the point that you will not get reelected, right? Because they know what buttons to push. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't have a problem with it. It's just interesting to see them navigate it.
I think everything is on the table at this point. They'll go after anybody. They don't care.
You think so?
Yeah.
They've not come after you yet.
Oh, they have. They have several times.
They didn't get anything.
There's nothing to get.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Actually, thinking about that, we had a company coming in trying to tell us we should get a file for tax credits with the. It was an extension of the ERC.
Yeah.
Went to our CPA and he's like, hey, he recommends against it because it was recently and he's like they're going to be auditing a lot more of those.
Yeah.
And
they're auditing all of them.
They are. Yeah.
They're
and I went
after all of them.
Went back to that company and said, hey, no, thank you. And they're like, that's terrible advice. And it was like a month later, there was a big article write up like, they're auditing all of it. And to not have to deal with an audit is worth every penny that I didn't get.
Yeah. For sure.
Tax credit.
It's not even a tax credit, by the way. They hand you back a check of the taxes you did pay, which just can be tens of thousands of dollars, and then they just count that towards your income, and all of a sudden you owe a huge tax bill. There you go.
Yeah,
fair enough.
That's it. So, like, if you don't set back 40% of what they just handed you back, you're going to get the surprise bill. Like poor Lucas over here got his huge surprise bill. He's like, "What's this?" Like, yeah, remember that money we gave back to you? Yeah, we want some of that back.
Yeah. Poor David over here. He's not filed those taxes from those years yet.
Oh, I had a loss every single one of those years there. So that just put me back down to zero. I had losses. Well, I made no money. I tell people this all the time, and they laugh. I'm like, I don't make any money. They're like, I'm like, no, seriously, I don't make any money. I'm in the red almost every year. Almost every year.
Well, and my goodness, if you were to make money, you'd have to do something to fix that.
I usually do. I usually make a very large equipment purchase that I cannot afford because, again, I don't make any money. But I want to make sure that at the end of that year, there's a big old fat red number there.
So wouldn't it be less stressful just to pay those taxes and not have to deal with it?
Do you want to fight?
That was them says fight words.
Have you seen the meme over Israel? There's missiles going up, and then there's the anti-missile defense going up, and we paid for the missiles going up, and we somehow also paid for the anti-missile going up. We paid for both sides. They're shooting at each other. We paid for both sides.
Absolutely.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is. I mean, it's amazing how our American equipment's getting used on both sides of those fights.
Sure. I'm so happy to pay for every dime of it. That's why all those taxes get paid diligently. So our fine Congress people can spend it away. You okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
Is this your chat again?
I'm just dealing with shop owner bullshit.
What is it now?
Oh, that guy that's like trying to play the system. The Becky Witt post the other day about somebody like the client that's trying to back you into a corner.
Okay, but ignore them.
Why?
Oh, it's Friday. No, you have employees. The shop's open, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then let them handle it.
Okay.
Or they don't handle it, and then in which case I'll be there on Monday. Who cares?
Who cares?
Anyway, that guy sent me a message, and he's like, "Hey, can I pick up my truck? We're closed today, by the way." And I sent him a message. I'm like, "Man, I'm in Pennsylvania, but I don't think your truck's ready. Anyway, I'll see you Monday." And he was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And it went away. See? Problem solved.
Problem solved.
And they come back.
Huh?
They come back.
The problems?
No, I'm saying the customers. Like,
Yeah, the good ones. The good ones come back.
and if they aren't the good ones, so what?
Yeah.
No, the good ones come back sometimes. Sometimes they come back. Sometimes they don't. Mail Shark's been sending out my stuff, and even though I told them, "Hey, don't make sure you exempt some of our existing customers," they didn't. Anyway, I've had a lot of customers come back. Like, "Hey, I got this thing in the mail. I used to come to you. I haven't been there in a few years."
Yeah,
It's been since 2019. Like,
sent you away.
where you been? I asked them. Like, "Oh, well, you know, I don't know if I got room for you. I'm busy."
Kind of funny story. Steven from Auto Ops.
Yeah.
Made a connection. Steven
That
from
guy?
Auto Ops. Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
Him and his wife's sister.
We made a connection because his girlfriend lives like 2 minutes from our shop.
Oh, really?
And it was interesting. We met him out of Vision, and we were talking. He's like, "Oh, saw where I was from." He's like, "I started dating somebody from there," and went back and forth. And I'm like, "Yeah, I know that person. We used to work on their cars." And
all of a sudden, Steven's like,
I don't know why they quit coming to us. They did, and it was just interesting. It's like, yeah, I hadn't even thought about that client for a while because just in the flow of work, you don't.
Yeah.
Did you ever find out why they stopped coming to you?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, I'm going to ask him.
I have to know now.
He said he's given his girlfriend's dad a hard time about not using us, but
well, it is so that is one thing about shop ownership that I absolutely hate. I hate losing clients, and because I'm more expensive than everybody else in town, I lose a lot of clients. I have high attrition, and it drives me crazy.
I guess I'm too busy. I don't know. I don't care.
You will.
I will. Yeah. There's a few.
The longer you're in business,
he won't. Maybe he just won't.
The
Here's
longer
hoping
I've been
that you
in
never
business-
do care.
Well, the
It
problem
won't
is the
matter.
ones that I wish would leave just keep coming back.
Yes, I have some of that.
We just had a conversation with I had a conversation with one of our clients, and I don't think I officially told him that he's fired, but I think that's going to be the end thing. It was actually kind of nice. It was like one of the first times I kind of stood up for. The main thing was he was being really rude in front of our service advisors.
Yeah,
and that was a final straw. I'm like, you can't.
No, you don't. You will not mistreat my people.
You can talk bad to me, and I'll take it, but not my people. And he was actually offended. Like, well, I'm a paying customer. I bring 5 cars here. Yeah, but that doesn't give you a right to talk how you want.
Don't be disrespectful.
Yeah, don't be disrespectful. And it was interesting because it finally felt like, great, maybe I actually have to do that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And get some of the pain customers out of our shop.
I've typically used price increases to drive those out. And not like,
and then you complain, "I'm such high attrition." Anyway, I jacked up my prices another 20%.
No, that I'm saying I specifically.
Oh, that person gets special pricing.
It's not that they get special pricing. It's that
Dutch
I know
looks down on that. Dutch gets mad when you tell a customer, "Hey, I have no availability for you for the next 6 months." He's like, "Why don't you just tell them?" It's like, I'm non-confrontational. That's why, Dutch. I don't just I'm not from New York. I'm not from New York. That I just
that was the most offensive thing I've ever.
That just blurred out.
Oh, that made my stomach
turn.
I feel sick.
I don't like you as a customer. So stop calling here. I don't do that. You know what I do? I was like, you know what? For you, I don't have any appointments available for the next 6 months.
Here's my thing though: is that we started finding we had specific clients that their vehicles were junk. And that they always were high maintenance. And so we recognized to offer them the quality of service that they demand from us by attitude and to work on the vehicle that's in that bad of shape, I have to build additional padding into the repair because it's always something.
Yeah.
And they do not like that. Right. And so they go down the street to the person who's $45 an hour, cheapest parts out there. And they're like, I don't know why I'm having problems. It's not fair. And they go to this person and complain about getting their car fixed. And I'm like, you can have that. I'm good.
There's a particularly very rusty 1988 Ford Bronco that comes to mind. And the best thing I heard was another shop said he showed up at their door and was like, "Hey, can you order this part for me online?" He's like, "Well, why don't you do it?" He's like, "Well, I don't have any credit cards." And part of that conversation was, "Yeah, I would go down there to Limitless, but they're too expensive." And I was like, "It's working."
It's it. That's exactly right.
It's working.
I just tell them anything older than 99, anything older than 2000, we just... It's got to be certain year makes and models that will go like 2001 even. Like they call me with an 01 Grand Prix or Grand Am or something like that. It's like, dude, you don't want to bring that car here. Like I'm not going to be able to put it on the lift because it's rusted out underneath. I'm going to find $10,000 worth of work. I'm just telling you right now, like this isn't going to end well. Well, we're supposed to go. So take it down to Firestone, dude. They'll slap whatever part you want on there and ship it. They don't care.
We had another customer come in recently with, I actually forget what it was. It was a 1980s Lincoln of some sort with electronic dash and displays.
Buddy.
And
awesome.
intermittently, the dash would fluke out. And
I
he's like,
bet
"Hey,
it does.
Can you fix this?"
No, I
And
cannot.
I said, "Look, sir, I would, while I probably, the pride in me would say, yes, I probably can. I don't want to have to give you the bill for the time that I would take me to find the issue that you're dealing with."
Right.
You'll probably find the issue. There's just no fix for it.
Or
We're
that.
like, yeah.
That's the thing. I said, or I could charge you all this money, find the issue, and tell you that there is no fix.
And the
there are
part
no
is
parts.
discontinued
Yeah.
because even new parts are discontinued now.
New parts. Ford is the worst.
Oh
They
my
discontinue parts
goodness.
after 5 years. 5 years.
Yeah.
That's it.
We've got one in the shop right now that's 3 years, and it had a discontinued HVAC module,
Oh, jeez.
and you cannot get one anywhere.
What do you do? Used?
eBay. This is the only option we found. We called Circuit Board Medics, said, "Hey, can you fix this?" Nope. Called a bunch of
What
other
kind of
people.
Ford is it?
And I think it's an Edge. If I remember
An
right.
Edge?
Mm-hmm.
Was it one of those like dash integrated sync module messes? Oh,
Yep.
goodness.
It is frustrating because when you call the client up and you're like, tell them, "Hey, we cannot actually get a new one." They kind of make you the bad person.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can't fix my 4-year-old
That's
car?
what sucked about this one is because we had to call him and be like, "Hey, we know you didn't want to do that testing. And we know that we said for you to pass inspection, you had to have working defrost. But now we also have to unfortunately tell you that there are no parts to fix your car."
You know, when it's situations out of your hand like that, like I used to fret about having to tell a customer, I don't give two craps. Be like, don't buy a Ford Edge. Don't buy any Ford.
I didn't build it. I didn't break it. I didn't buy it.
That's exactly right.
You know, I don't, not at that 100% callous. I do feel bad for the customer because they made bad choices in the car that they were going to drive. But I don't get anxious about telling them like, this is the situation. They don't make this part anymore. It's I can get this part. It's $1,800 and I can't guarantee the fix because the part is used and I don't know if it's going to work when we put it in. Like, I just tell them it is what it is. Make your choice. The choice is don't fix it and leave it to the condition that it's in. Get rid of the car somehow or pay me to fix it properly. Like, that's it. That's it. I don't care.
And I don't want to say I'm callous. It's what I have to tell myself to be okay telling them that they need the
For sure.
$2,000
I have to
worth of.
I have to make myself feel better about this.
Why?
I care too much.
That's
Care
Honestly.
about what though? Like the situation is what it is. Like you can't do anything about it.
That's the problem. Is like I feel like I should be able to do something about it.
The way these manufacturers have gotten about these shitty cars, they are so poorly engineered, and then they're just built to last just long enough to get out of warranty, and then that's it. They don't care. The manufacturer doesn't care because they don't support their junky car after the sale. They themselves, they built the thing and they don't support it. So why should I give two craps?
Well, because that is the industry that we're in. We are tasked with fixing the things
That's not the attitude of every manufacturer. Not every manufacturer does that. Not every manufacturer says, hey,
that's true.
I don't care.
That's true.
That this is no longer supported because we imported this one model to see if it would sell. It didn't sell. We have zero support for this model in the United States. And now, like, people still want them and they want to be able to fix them. We just don't have any parts for them. Pontiac G8?
Yeah.
Hello? Like, cool car. I'd own one. But I would also know that, hey, I'm not going to get parts for this thing or I'm shipping them in from Australia for $1 bajillion because it is what it is. You take the risk in buying the car. You want something that is easily fixable, super reliable, and if it does break down, like there are parts available, you buy a 2009 Toyota Corolla. And then that's what you drive. Oh, you don't want to do, I want a V8 rear-wheel drive. It's like, okay, well, enjoy the problems of having a G8. It is what it is. The best car ever made, 2009 Toyota Corolla.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Any Toyota Corolla.
Not any. I don't know. The door handle ones, they broke. I don't know. Those are okay. Like 96. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And so at least it's not a geometric.
Still. How old are you?
29.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's so depressing.
You know, I shared the thing about Back to the Future the other day, and he said he didn't get the joke. And I was like, oh, that didn't make me feel nice.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Anyway, back in the day.
Way back when.
Yeah, 96, I think 2001 Toyota Corolla. It's a Toyota Corolla, and they're awesome cars. They would have these flimsy door handles, and they all broke. The interior and the exterior door handles. You'd just pull on them. You'd have them in for an oil change. You'd do the oil change. You're about to pull it out and right into your hand. You're like, oh, you gotta get it.
But the good thing is most of the clients were like, oh, another door handle broke? Yeah, there's some in the trunk.
Yeah.
So actually, it makes me think of one that we're dealing with right now. We have a Jeep on our lot that 2 years ago, not quite 2 years ago, we rebuilt the rear differential. And it's a special differential that they use for a very short period of time. It looks like a Dana 35, but it's not a Dana 35. That has a special carrier. And we finagled it to make it work and thought we did a good enough job. And guess what rolled in on a tow truck?
Yeah.
With the pinion having play in it.
Oh, no.
But to make this worse, so this thing spent probably a month and a half in our shop 2 years ago trying to rebuild that differential. Go to start it to back it out, doesn't start. And it's the security module had tripped. It was in security mode, but this vehicle did not have it as an option.
Nice.
So what do? I feel bad. I send the module out on my dime, get it taken care of, put it back in. There's somebody, we shipped it to, I even forget what service we used, but they took that out of the computer. It worked great for about a year, came back for another service. Literally a week after we worked on it, it gets towed in again, will not start, and it's back in security mode.
So hey, just call the OE guys, Mike Christofferson, his company.
Okay.
As long as you have a pass through with MegaCan, as long as it's that year, or if it's not one of those MegaCan years, as long as you have a pass through, they will fix that for you.
Okay.
It's just a small fee, but you just hook it up to the internet and go, hey, fix this. And they'll beep, boop, bop, and done.
I forget what we did that time, but I did not give them an option for us to take care of it. I said, hey, look, I'm sorry. It's not what we did.
Yeah.
This is going to be out of your pocket. It's a nightmare vehicle, and it keeps coming back. And
that's what this deal is. While I looked at my phone a few minutes ago, this guy comes in, he expresses he has no money. He wants a brake evaluation. We do the brake evaluation, oil leak evaluation. He doesn't want to fix anything else. He explains he doesn't have any money. He said, I just want to do the brakes. We said, okay, we'll do the brakes. And now he says, well, my battery light's on. And it had a quarter tank of gas in it when I brought it, but now it's on E. And we're like, well, yeah, if you look at all the documentation, we explain we do a 10-mile test drive. We drive it when we start. We drive it after we get done with repair, and then we drive it for quality control. It gets driven 3 times. That's why your gas is lower. And it's just all of a sudden he's like, well, now my battery light's on, and they're saying the alternator's bad, and clearly y'all did something to my truck, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude.
If he's being unreasonable, and I give the customer the benefit of the doubt. In other words, I can understand why they would think that, and therefore to fix the optics of it, to handle the optics, I will eat this, that, or the other.
Well, he's somewhere else and wants me to send him money to fix it.
Oh no! See, that's if the person's straight cray. I don't play.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. And that's it. We didn't do anything.
That's what I'm
sorry
to
you feel
do.
that way. I'm not going to do that. And then I just leave it at that. They get a firm no. They usually go away.
And quite often, what's going to happen out of that? They're probably, if they're crazy enough, everybody else knows it. So if they go around talking bad about you, most people are going to look at them.
They're the crazy person anyway. And what are you going to get? 2 or 3 1-star reviews. And trust me, once you get one from a crazy person, you're like, person's crazy. Don't care.
It quits hurting.
Yeah. They don't care.
100%.
You just have to keep getting. I know they hurt when you get the 1-stars. I know they hurt. But some people are just crazy. You just can't do anything about it. There's a reason why. Look, the bigger you get, it's another stupid reason you shouldn't expand. The bigger you get, you now have larger exposure to crazy people.
Yep. You have a higher likelihood of getting one.
Yeah, Firestone has a 2.7 star rating in my town. They are still packed with customers.
Mm-hmm.
They're still packed every single day. They got hundreds of cars coming through there every month. They have a 2.7 stars. Nobody gives 2 craps about their shitty Google reviews. 1 and 2, they appeal to everybody, so they get all the crazies. All the crazies.
I'll pass.
What do you do? That's what you designed. You were like, oh, I'm gonna have a giant red barn. It's gonna have 85 bays. It's gonna be great.
No, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna turn it into a giant studio. We're just gonna record podcasts every day. We'll pick a new bay to record podcast in.
Or you could do YouTube.
Yeah,
make YouTube videos fixing cars.
Yeah, David, you go fix the cars. I'll run the camera.
The fixing cars thing. I don't know. If Eric O, isn't that the guy Eric from South Main?
Yeah.
Okay, so if he came down and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm pulling in $250,000 a month just on YouTube ad," they'd be like, "Oh, okay. Hey, Lucas, we're just gonna make YouTube videos of fixing cars, not actually do any actual fixing of cars.
Well,
we're just gonna make YouTube videos about it."
Look, if you could get out of the only fan realm and get into OnlyFans, we might be able to get $15-$20 a month.
I can't I can't show off my feet like that. That's not going to be a thing.
I mean, dude, listen. Sometimes you got to
Here's what I can
take
do.
one for the
this
team.
This is apparently very popular, and this will make me a ton of money. I will show my beehole on the internet, but then immediately get on the just for a little while, and then I will immediately convert to some religion like Islam. I'll be like, all of a sudden I'm super religious, and I'll get on there and be like, yeah, so I was showing my beehole on the internet, but now I'm super religious, but I'm going to leave the OnlyFans up for a little while just so I can rake in that extra cash. And then I'll be making all these media appearances, like charge. Maybe it's like, hey, it's $100,000 for me to be there. You'll get a ton of views, so I can tell my story about how I converted to Islam or whatever. But I used to show my beehole on the internet. It's a thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
You seem like you researched that quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I can make some money on it, I would be all over it. I don't think anybody subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Is that a ball of toilet paper right there?
What?
It's like a little piece of toilet paper. Weren't you supposed? Is that corn? Weren't you supposed to clean that up first?
That's too descriptive. Ugh. It's gross. Ugh. Anyway.
Very good.